Question 2. How effective is the combination of the main product, that being the trailer, and the two ancillaries that I did alongside it? This question is going to be split up into two parts, and I'll be looking at the trailer and the two ancillaries together, and I'll be looking at how consistent they are in their style, and also how well they complement each other with what they contain. So to begin with, we're going to look at the consistency that the pieces share, and we're going to be looking at consistency in three major areas. First of all is the color scheme and how consistent that is between the three. The second one is whether they use the same objects. Number 3 is the style of the art and the drawing. Obviously that doesn't apply to the trailer, but it does apply to the two ancillaries more so. So what you're looking at here, from left to right, occupying the left-hand side is the second ancillary task, that is the magazine ad, the single-page spread. The top is the game icon, that square icon in the top, and occupying the right-hand side are screenshots from the trailer that I'm using to refer. So I can compare how Mobo looks in the trailer to how he appears on the two ancillaries. So first of all, we're looking at objects. Fairly easy one to start off. There are really two key objects that each image has. One is that they all include Mobo, and the other is that they all have hexagons involved, be they platforms or just hexagons in general. The magazine ad, you've got the camera looking at Mobo from behind with the level shown in the trailer spanning out ahead of him. In the trailer itself, you obviously know what's involved in that. You get a clear shot of the level showing the setting that it's in, and you've also got Mobo shown clearly with his transformation and his character appearing. And finally, the icon, you've got hexes bordering the square, and then you've got Mobo himself peering through the gap in the hexes. So yes, consistently, the pictures, the images, the objects are all consistent throughout each task, each piece. Next up, there is the color scheme, and you can tell fairly quickly from looking at them, all of them are very similar in their choice in colors. There's a bit of contrast with the shading and different hues on the different colors, but the two colors that are readily apparent, there is the bright blue of the lights around the edge of Mobo's hexagons and of the platforms themselves. I've also used a lot of bright blue in the magazine ad for the borders for the images, and the other big color is the dull navy blue that takes up the background and also the top of the hexes and also Mobo's own body. And I get with Mobo, it's a bit hit and miss with the shading, especially on the icon he comes off as more blue, but in the trailer he's actually a grey, and the blue comes from the lighting. The magazine ad best shows him in the sort of color scheme that I wanted. I actually made use of the swatches tool on Illustrator when I was doing the designs to be able to refer back to particular colors when I was looking at him. So from that, visually, it's fairly clear to see that the color scheme is also very consistent throughout each of the three pieces. Next point of interest was in the art style and how consistent the project was on that front. Now this here is what I'm going to be using it as an example, the ending screen for Mobo. So the ending slate actually began as this, much more shading based and very similar to the film Tron, with the black against blue with the glowy, lighty shading in the back, and I realized as I went on that it didn't fit the style that I wanted, so I changed it up to what it is now. Similarly with Mobo, this was the first drawing I did with him, and as you can tell, he's very different in his style compared to the end slate. He's got very solid colors, and he's got a thin line, but he hasn't got any lighting or shading aside from the shadow effect beneath him. However, by the end of the project, that had all been rectified. I realized I needed to keep the art style consistent, and the style I decided on was solid coloring like what Mobo had. And I combined that with solid black outlines, thick black outlines that really gave the images a real clean, sharp, strong look to how they were before, and that was the style I used consistently throughout. And at the same time, I also used it for the end slate, as you could probably see. Solid coloring, black outlines, and the only shading that was there came from straightforward gradient shading that I was able to easily apply in Illustrator, and it worked effectively. It worked very effectively. I was pleased with the end result of the art style. When I applied it to the ancillaries, it worked well. And also, another thing to note is that the trailer, it's got very basic colors. There is no texturing in the trailer, so the colors come off as very basic. The only shading comes from the lighting above. So really, the trailer fits very much into the style of art that I use, just without the solid black lines that are present in the illustrations. So between them, all three of the products are also complementary in their art style as well. Now we move on to how the different tasks complement each other, the different points they have and how they add to the others. To begin with, the main trailer, with it being the main piece, it's got the biggest contribution to it. The trailer shows the whole concept of MOBO the most directly. It really introduces the setting in what it shows. It also introduces MOBO the character, and it introduces the gameplay. It also enables you to initially connect with the game, initially get you started. You could say that it's the first part of the promotional package. It is, as I said, the introductory part, and then from that you move on to the ancillaries and into more detail and more information. This is the gateway, in a way. The magazine ad, its main two purposes are: one, it's imagery. It backs up the trailer considerably. The image shown is actually of a scene in the trailer where Mobo's about to start the level, and instead is looking at him from a different angle, looking at the level in front of him, and almost adding an element of mystery to it in the way that it's looking at his back as he's looking at the level. And secondly, it is the main point of information out of the three tasks. It is the most informative. It has all of the written information provided in the captions, it has the slogan, and it also has the game information, what platforms it'll be on. It's very much the next step after the trailer. People are interested in it thanks to the trailer, and now they want info, and the magazine ad provides that. And last of all, you have the game icon, or the equivalent of the package artwork for this whole game. This is the icon that will symbolize the game as it appears on the App Store, so it's a pretty big deal, and it's a real contributor to the whole promotional package. In terms of content, it shows Mobo in a different light. He's actually addressing you, almost seemingly, because he's looking through that frame of hexes where there's a gap, and it almost connotes from the image that he's inviting you into the game, that he wants you to play. There's the gap, he's looking through, and he's saying come on in. And finally, just the commonalities they all share is that I really wanted, and I really did, put a lot of effort and enthusiasm into all of them. I'm not the sort of person who is lazy with creating products. I could very easily have just copied and pasted images and done the same thing with the ancillaries, but I chose not to. I tried my best to make them all original and different in some way, and contributory in different ways. And I really hope that the effort and real detail of each one of the three products shines through just by looking at them. And I think the combination is very effective. I think the products, they do indeed. I do think they work together very well. I'm extremely satisfied with them. And with that, I don't think there's anything more to add. I think that is everything covered with this question. That's done. So, as usual, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and see you. Make sure to watch the other evaluation questions as well, because they also have more information on them.